Okay, are we live? Yes, there we go. There you go. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Slamhub Wrestling. Myself, Suprit, and this is your AEW Dynamite review. Winter is coming edition, and you're joined by Ridwan here. What did you think about this special Dynamite from Garland, Texas?
I thought it was a very solid show because, like, usually whenever they do these special events, it's a very match heavy. It's a very match heavy card or a match heavy show. Depends on how you want to, describe it. But overall, like, we've said this in the past. Like AEW usually, puts less effort in like their other shows, which is leading up to their big show. So this was one such where all the hype was saved for this. I mean, all the hype was built for this particular show, and it delivered on all fronts. I felt. What did you think about the show?
Um, I also thought the show was great, and the thing about this show was, forget that it was a special Dynamite. Like, for obvious reasons, like the number of segments on this show felt, I think, less than usual. Like in other Dynamites, you get at least 10 to 15 segments. Here, we got what, maybe 6 or 5 at best.
Including the matches.
Yeah, and like I said, obvious reasons. Seeing how long the opener went,
Yeah, spoiler.
but we'll talk about the entirety of this show here. But before that, if you are new to Slam of Wrestling, then make sure to like, share, subscribe, do all that fun stuff. Check out our other content links provided in the description below. But the opener here was a little shocker to me. I didn't expect them to open this Winter is Coming show with this match here. I thought this was going to be your usual main event, but Tony Khan, I think he has something else. I think seeing the recent ratings, I think he decided, let's start off big time, like how he does with Rampage.
Yeah, front loading basically.
And by the way, are the ratings out for this show?
Yep. Sure,
So
it's almost they almost drew a million and on average. So whatever you've said, really has made up for that. Like it makes sense why Tony did that.
any particular segment that drew the most?
Not that I know of, but I just checked the overall ratings. I think Alvarez was the one who posted it,
Come on,
like he
man.
usually does.
Come on, man. You have to check out the entire segments plus the demo. The demos are more important.
Yes. Pretty amateur on my part. I apologize.
But anyways, they opened up big here with the AEW World Championship match. This is Hangman Adam Page defending. This is his first title defense, by the way. Forget the first title defense. This is his first match after winning the belt. So he's defending the
Yep.
title against Bryan Danielson, the American Dragon. And boy, this match went to a 60-minute time limit draw. Did you expect this?
Nope. I did not. Like once they opened the show with this, then I don't know. Maybe in hindsight, it's easier to say that you kind of expected that, but as it started, I don't think I did. But I like there would be some feeling or another that this was going long, but time limit draw was something. It still feels shocking because after when Danielson and Danielson and Kenny, they drew to a 30-minute time limit draw. So now it's a 60-minute time limit draw with the championship involved. So it's still shocking nonetheless.
For me, this match was great. I think the only thing that affected me personally, I don't know what other people are talking about. For me personally, the four commercials that happened during this match
Yeah,
was kind of, took me out of the match, I guess.
yeah, and since I was watching it on Fight, like usually whenever there's a commercial break, they usually tend to take a breather and do less, like put in less efforts than what they usually do while they're live. So it certainly, like, it affected this match in that sense, because while I was watching it, even through the commercials, they were just like, they were mainly doing the feeling out process. And there was one part where Hangman was busted open, and Danielson was just doing jumping jacks in the ring, and he was just doing a middle finger. So he was just working the crowd. And then once the show starts rolling again, the show starts rolling live, that's when Danielson just goes for a suicide dive. I think he goes for a drop kick.
And
So
that's
yeah.
that's the only problem I had. The commercial break. That to four commercial break. That was too much for me. Like seeing, I think at one point they even cut the what do you call, the picture in picture, and just got to the live feed.
Hmm. Yeah. Like, I was watching on Fight, so I don't know about how it was on TV, but uh, yeah.
But other than that, the match was great. I don't know if you can call it a classic or not. Can you call, this is a question to you, Ridwan? Can you call this match a classic? And was this better than the other time limit draw we saw? That was a half an hour draw between Omega and Danielson. If you compare both these matches, which one was better?
To answer your question, if it was a classic, maybe I'd say, if you're looking back at this show or this match in particular 5 to 6 months down the line, you would say yes, it was like classic and one of the best matches ever. As of now, there is a lot more fury because of the time limit expiry. But I'd say yes, it's like one of the best matches ever. But on a personal preference, if you ask me if it's better than Omega or Danielson, I'd still prefer the old one, because I mean, even though there were like a lot more stakes to this one was about the championship, so there was like 60 minutes, and the 30 minutes was just a normal match, but it was basically to prove who was the better wrestler. And with that expiry, uh, like, there were a lot more stakes, but there was a lot more flurry in offense, and at the same time, there was like a lot more flow to it compared to this one. Like, there were ad breaks and all in both matches, but in this one, like, I felt it kind of overran its course. But yeah, I mean, both are, you say, right, both are good where they are if you want to compare. So mine would be somewhere around that. What do you think?
I don't know, man. Brian Danielson has actually ruined somewhat the wrestling experience for 2021 for me. You know why? Ever since this guy
Because
showed up in AEW, I had my match of the year, top 10 list. I had my wrestler of the year, top 10 list. When this guy showed up in AEW, he ruined everything for me.
the
Now at this
spoiler,
point, I
the
don't want to make any list because this guy is on top.
Yeah, it's a term in, whenever there's a tournament, it's called a bracket buster, where an underdog usually ruins any prediction that you have done. So, Brian kind of fits that mold for you, don't you think?
Yeah. Now I want to rate wrestler of the year, the title to Roman Reigns, man. But he's making it very difficult for me.
Who, Roman Reigns or Danielson?
Danielson, man. I want to rate Roman Reigns at the number one spot.
Okay,
But
fair
anyways,
enough.
man,
You do you, man.
he's just great at what he does, especially Brian Danielson. And if you want to talk about the highlights of this match, this guy I think did a great job of being that cocky heel. And if you want to see how he worked the match, he reminded me of a Jay White match.
That's a very apt comparison. Like, of course, it's a testament to Danielson's, like, the how great he is, but he's been doing for a lot longer than a Jay White. But I get the sentiment. I get the sentiment that you're trying to say. In terms of a heel who is just flipping off the crowd and just playing to whatever they throw at him. So I get what you mean in this case.
And like the in terms of the wrestling, like Danielson was dominating Hangman Page. Like you can't out wrestle Danielson here, but that was the opening parts of the match, and these guys were they gave both men gave it their all. I can't describe this match move by move. Is that the right way to say this?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Like whoever's listening to this podcast, and if you haven't watched the match, we highly suggest you go out of your way and watch it. Even if you're not watching wrestling regularly, you should definitely check out this match.
And by the way, are you a big fan of matches going a hour long?
Depends who is involved in Dan. If it was Danielson, or it's Hangman, or if it was Omega, I'd say yes. And even with New Japan, it if you could say this was a very New Japan style match in a way, because of the time limit expiry going long and people both beating the shit out of each other. So
I don't know, man. I seen New Japan in the pandemic. I think the doing the big matches, hour long matches was too much for me during that time.
yeah,
But in this case, it really worked. We had a live crowd. The atmosphere was just electric. Got into it, and can you go through some of the highlights in this match? Your favorite moments?
um my it was a theme throughout the match was when of course Danielson, when he was playing to the crowd, he was just doing the jumping jacks, and then when he was worked on his knee by Hangman, then he was doing jumping jacks with one leg, and then he was just flipping off the crowd every moment. And I like as character work, Danielson with the crowd was the highlight for me. But a particular spot I felt was towards the final spot that they did, and the one just before that where Danielson was going for a backdrop driver or a Saito from the top turnbuckle, and Hangman just reversed that, and he just did a rolling for it. No, either he did a rolling forearm or a clothesline, and then Danielson just did the Rikishi bump. So probably that, or when Danielson hurts his shin while giving the kicks on the turnbuckle. What were your favorite highlights of this match?
My favorite was just Danielson being a cocky heel. That's it. And the other
Yeah,
spots and yeah, and the other spots and big, near falls were really great.
yes, like you could see me trying to pick particular spots while describing how great this match was, and I couldn't do a good job at that, and then I just had to make do my best in picking some.
Hey, I will say this: the last 5 minutes where Hangman was on the offense, that was my favorite. You could say,
Mhm.
and where you
Yeah.
and that particular spot you mentioned, reversing that Saito suplex and hitting a lariat or a forearm.
Yes, but the Rikishi bump that Danielson was doing, even there was another spot where he just did the running clothesline, and he did so again. So Danielson really, bumped like a boss for Hangman, and it also makes Hangman look, much more amazing since becoming champion. It was his first match, like you said, and so far so good, man.
And we talk about how long this match went. Like the minute that this match got longer and longer, I thought Hangman is losing, man.
Yeah, there was some sense of it, because of course we don't want him to lose this fast, and sensibly they wouldn't take the title of him this fast either, because transitional champions are it's not very abused like how WWE does. So it did look like that. Plus, the longer this match went, it was more in Danielson's favor, because being the wrestler that he is, and You rightly pointed it out at the start of this, match review. You can't out wrestle Bryan Danielson. So this was one such.
Yeah, they made the entire outcome and situation very unpredictable here.
Yes,
And
and did a better job at that. A very
and
good job at that.
and
Sorry.
like I said, I liked the final 5 minutes of this match. Like I really wanted Hangman to win here, and when he hit that
Same.
buckshot lariat, pin this guy and win. But the time they went to the limit draw and I think it was a good finish. I guess going to a draw because in that manner
In
you
a
are
way,
still keeping Danielson undefeated, and you can further the story. I think that's the obvious plan here.
yes, but yeah, a part of me was like I wanted Hangman to win because it would have been a great way to start off his title defense as this new take no shit babyface champion, and beating someone like Danielson, who is of course the one of the greatest of all time. It would have really stamped his you know him being a confident babyface champion. But I see why they did that, and also there's another reason. Like it really puts Hangman as an equal to both Danielson and Kenny, and that was also one of the intentions of while they went for a time limit draw, because again Kenny is one of the best wrestlers in the world. Danielson is one of the greatest of all time, and Hangman is like put in that position of being an equal to them, and of course he's the fucking world champion. So this is a great way to get Hangman over. If a win couldn't have done that job, I think the time limit draw certainly helped in that case.
So obviously they are going to have a rematch either at Battle of the Belts or Revolution.
I guess Revolution, because after, like, it's too soon for Danielson to reclaim his number one contendership as well, because once he's lost it, then he has to go down the pecking order and then start all over again.
I don't know, man. I don't know. But even the commentators were saying, yeah, we have to get a rematch. We have to get a rematch on and again.
Yes, and that's one of the main intentions. That's like they did this finish as well, and we are most certainly getting it. I'd say they'd save it till Revolution, because I don't see it happening this fast. And Battle of the Belts is like what, 2 weeks away now?
At this point, yes.
Yep.
And it's happening
So
on the
I
same
don't
week
see.
that they go on TBS.
Yep, like fifth they're going on TBS, and eighth is the Battle of the Belts.
Yeah, that's pretty insane. But there are a bunch of spots that I want to mention here. There was a big table spot that I think he even did at full gear against Kenny, and I think
Yep.
he should stop doing that. That looks like it really hurts.
Oh, for sure it does. But I like he got like, this is the table. Hangman just lands over here, which is worse because the corner of the table is usually the sharpest one. In
And
table science. Yeah.
and I think after Cody, this guy Hangman is the he does blade jobs. I think he's the second guy after Cody.
Yes, I was telling the same thing to my brother while we were watching this match, and it's a very Ric Flair thing to do, because he used to blade at a drop of a hat, and Cody is like right in that territory. So Hangman's also getting there.
And God knows, did he did the normal blade job or he got blood the hard way, just ramming his head into the post.
I mean, sometimes they like take a razor and just cut off like a small portion of it, but then with the sweat, it all trickles down. So it looks like the blood is overflowing. It did look like a big cut while the doctors were checking on him at there, and this one Doc Samson was just pouring water on his blood. I thought, if it was cold, it certainly looked like it must have burned the fuck out of Hangman's head.
But there you go, man. This was overall a great match, and looking forward
Um,
to the rematch. Something you want to mention?
yeah, like to think that this was supposed to be John Moxley's position before he, took time off, because with the story that they were good to, like, in before Hangman returned, and because you remember that one promo where Mox just talks shit about Hangman, he's like, all baby faces are fucking stupid. And then once Hangman returned, he costed Mox the opportunity and won the whole like casino ladder match. So, and given what they were teasing with Mox, they were trying to make him a heel. And after that, like, with Bryan winning and then Bryan beating each Dark Order member in their hometown. So this was very much what Mox was supposed to do, but then here we are, it, with Danielson being there, I think it further elevated what the original plan was. And I think Danielson has done a bang up job in that case.
I'm really, looking forward to what they do next with this story. Hopefully, at the big shows come January, or maybe at Revolution. God knows.
Yeah, and Revolution, they announced the dates for Revolution, didn't they?
Yeah, February is something, I don't know.
No, it's usually March. Yeah, it was March 6th. Right. My bad.
But shall we move on to the rest of the show? Uh,
Yep.
Anything you want to mention?
Yes. No, I'm good.
I think we had Wardlow versus Matt Sydal next, and this was a quick enough match. Like Wardlow is getting quick victories throughout, his appearances on Dynamite. So same here as well. But Sydal did get some offense here. But he ends up, Wardlow hitting a bunch of power bombs. That is becoming a thing. We have mentioned the same thing in the previous
The
reviews as
Powerbomb
well.
Symphony.
The power bomb
It's called the
symphony.
Powerbomb. Yes, it's a good name for him.
But in this case, Sean Spears, who accompanied him, he got a mic and was just basically shouting at Wardlow to stop it. That's it. You basically killed this guy. But Wardlow was not willing to listen. So after a third power bomb, I think Wardlow finally pinned Seidel, and there you go. So Sean Spears was just, in a very sarcastic manner, just, congratulating Wardlow on the mic, and he got a phone and called Maxwell Jacob Friedman and was talking about, how Wardlow got this victory. And I think MJF basically told Spears to tell Wardlow that once after the main event in the Dynamite, when he finally wins the Dynamite ring for the third time, he wants Wardlow to get the champagne ready. That's what he said. And after that, he destroys Matt Sydal with a bunch of chair shots. Spears, you know, I think you praised it very well. You have a good nickname for him.
The chair pervert.
There you go. So that's the story. Still continuing on with the, a possible Wardlow and MJF dissension.
They teased it heavy like last week with MJF eliminating Wardlow. So I thought this was like one of the big daggers for Wardlow to eventually turn on MJF. So I think it's happening soon. Probably early next year is what I'm guessing. But the build up to this, event, this slow burn of a face turn for Wardlow, it's been terrific. Like, even, I'd say they started after when he failed to defeat Cody in a steel cage match. I think that was when they, started sowing the seeds of it for it long term. And then whenever there was something or the other happening, MJF used to like subtly diss Wardlow, but then that subtlety just went to hell, and they've like openly started, like MJF openly started to diss Wardlow, like, you're useless, blah blah blah. And now we've reached to a point, and even like the power bombs, it's like, the littlest of things to help further this long term story. And Wardlow, giving in to the fans, he was just doing the repeated power bombs, and Spears was stopping him because Wardlow was listening to the fans instead of listening to MJF. So I thought this plays a good role. Like, things are very much in motion for it to happen. And it's going to happen soon. But when it happens, it's going to be an awesome moment. It's probably, I don't remember what, probably not, no, not the, I was thinking of the Batista moment, but that was something, like they kind of acknowledged that Batista was forming his own plan to, eventually beat Triple H, and Triple H wasn't aware of that. But with Wardlow, we still don't know, like, if he has something or the other to eventually do the needful. But all in all, I think it furthers that story, and it also gives Wardlow something to do. And in a way, like, being in the flow of this match, like, the pacing of this show rather was done pretty well, because after that amazing match that went to a time limit draw, people were like fatigued. But this was a bit of a palate cleanser where, people are getting their breath back, and then with Wardlow just, wrecking Sydal. And kudos to Sydal for again, giving his all for Wardlow, even if it was a squash match. So in that case, ticks all boxes for me. So this was done pretty very well, and can't wait for the eventual Wardlow face turn.
Well, there you go. But moving on, we heard from the SuperKliq, that is Adam Cole, Bay, and the Young Bucks. They were accompanied by Bobby Fish. Basically, they were backstage. We see, a very Christmas themed decoration in the background. Basically, cutting a promo on the best friends, what they did last week. Like beating them in a tag match where we had Rocky Romero and Chucky T. They talked about how the return of Trent was kind of ruining their moment, and they talked about what how they laid him out at Rampage. So basically, I think it's this week, right? We are getting a 8-man tag, that is the SuperKliq and Bobby Fish versus the best friends.
And yeah, best friends and Rocky Romero, and it's without Wheeler Yuta. So that's the 8-man tag. I was honestly expecting Wheeler Yuta to be a part of it instead of Rocky Romero, but it gives Rocky something to do, and he has a lot more history with best friends. So in that case, it works. And of course, the best friends like being Trent and Chucky versus the Young Bucks. That also has a history in itself in Ring of Honor, PWG, and other indie promotions.
And you mentioned Sue. Did you know that Sue has joined Chaos?
Yes, like she's the official Chaos member after Trent's return last week. That was like such a wholesome moment with everything that happened. And there was a picture that was, I think, Trent had posted it, or it was Orange, I'm not sure. It's like there's a like everyone standing in front of minivan, and in front of the minivan, and there's Chris on top of it. So yeah, man. Sue, imagine saying Sue, Orange Cassidy, and Toru Yano are part of one faction. Imagine saying that like probably a year and a half ago. Impossible.
Wrestling is wild, man. Wrestling is wild. And who knew we would love Chaos in 2021?
Yes, that was one stable that certainly felt like they should probably stop what they're doing, but they are way too wholesome for us to stop rooting for them. Because if you've seen like Okada's Instagram or Ishii's blog, like as how
Wait.
fierce
Did you say Ishii's vlog?
blog.
Oh, blog. I almost got a heart attack.
Yeah, him doing a vlog would be cool, but yeah, it's like how they're just being dogs in real life, especially Okada. He's like such a
Goof.
uh yeah, he's a goofball, and it's adorable how they are like in real life. So it's so wholesome. Like chaos could very well be like the wholesome pro wrestling at this point.
But the Young Bucks and the SuperKliq don't think this is wholesome because they threatened Sue to super kick her right in the kisser.
Yeah, heat. They're getting the heat, right?
Yeah, Bully Ray
Bully
would love
Ray.
it. But there was another thing that Adam Cole mentioned here in this promo. Like
Yep.
plugging of the match was secondary. He said that there is a surprise for the Young Bucks in the Christmas edition next week on Dynamite, and I think that's the cliffhanger. And we should, I think, we should expect something big or a betrayal, if you will.
Isn't it too soon for them to do that?
I won't mind, I
Because
guess.
even Ken, I wouldn't either because
You know,
Kenny isn't around. The betrayal would mean so much more if Kenny was around.
no, no,
So,
no, no, no. The betrayal would mean something when Kenny is not around and the Young Bucks are just alone.
mhm.
I don't know.
Yes, but they like even like the obvious answer. They even teased it on Twitter where he's like, "What's in the box?" He just tweeted that casually, and it's like one of the worst kept secrets that Kyle O'Reilly is going to AEW.
So, any chances he shows up next week?
Probably, and I'm excited if it happens. But it's like now is the time I'm actually leaning more towards it happening because I was kind of against the idea of Undisputed Era being a thing in AEW simply because it was more of a WWE thing. And but I think like, it'll certainly work because these guys are fucking awesome. But I don't know. I'll just wait for it to happen to eventually form my opinion. But seeing Kyle O'Reilly being in AEW in itself in itself is great.
He's left WWE, right?
Yeah, he is. Like I said, it's one of the worst kept secrets that he's going to AEW. Even I think Tony teased it a little. He's like, there'll be a lot of surprises in the upcoming weeks.
Hmm.
So there you go.
Yeah, I
But
wouldn't
for
mind.
Johnny Gargano,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah. I mean, I think Johnny Gargano at this point has is a free agent.
yeah, he is a free agent. His contract is expired, and he's doing Twitch. He's like has his own PWT Pro Wrestling T store, so which is a big no-no in WWE. So you could say that it's like he's definitely not going back. But again, we'll wait till Feb or March for it to happen. So if he's going to AW, Revolution is the best way to debut him. Otherwise, if he's going back to NXT to further that Grayson Waller feud, then let him be him. So
Nah,
either
I
way,
think he's
I'm
gone.
good.
He's gone. He's not going to WWE.
I personally hope it does because he's like one of my favorite wrestlers. He was like my favorite wrestler in NXT for 5 years that he was there.
But that was regarding Johnny Gargano, and we'll have to wait and see what the surprise is. I think they go the. Remember the celebration of Jericho thing that they did with Kevin Owens?
Yeah, the Festival of Friendship.
Ah, yeah, the Festival of Friendship. I said the celebration of Jericho. I think you
Yeah,
go into that route because that was very unexpected of a heel turn, if you ask me.
it was. I thought they would have done that like in the build up to WrestleMania. It was a build up to WrestleMania, but they still had that Fastlane pay per view, which was bad. Like when Owens lost his championship to fucking Goldberg. And according to Jericho, this was supposed to be originally for the Universal Championship, the Kevin Owens versus Jericho match. Instead, it got like bumped down to United States Championship.
And we all know what happened after that.
Yes, Vince tore like tore Kevin a new one after that. And speaking of Kevin Owens, you got the news, right?
Yeah, and that too very late because I was off social media just avoiding winter is coming, not the homecoming spoilers.
Yep. So he has re-signed with WWE. He even confirmed it on a French Canadian news outlet. And like it's okay, fair play, because they were offering him huge money and he wanted to secure a big bag for his family. If he's happy, so am I. But a part of me is disappointed because I wanted to see him be in the open and finally be his old self, like pre WWE self.
Yeah, and here unsettling differences.
Oh man, that's a sick song. Is that an underrated wrestling theme, you think?
Um, I don't know in which department. That depends.
As like a yeah, like if you want to consider it like the all-time, like all wrestling themes, so this one is particularly it's heavily underrated according to me.
I think you can say it is one of the most famous indie themes of all time.
Yes, I was talking more in the like in a wider sense, but in like if you want to like bog it down to a more niche comparison, yes, it's one of the greatest in the indie themes.
Hey, I'm happy for Kevin Owens, like you said. Let him make that money, man. Let him make that money.
Yep, two
But
three million per year. Yeah,
but
sure.
you WWE, you have to treat this guy right. You can't screw him. You can't screw him in the next 6 months and dub him as the next budget cut.
Yeah, if unless like even if he gets released, he's still getting that money, right? One that he has signed. So I think either way, he's done pretty well for himself. No matter what happens with him.
Okay, then I'm ready for Kevin Owens WWE title.
Me too. I've been wanting this for like 4 5 years now. So
Do it, man. Do it. Where were we? We got to this SuperKliq segment. I think we also had a promo from Ty Conti, and I think we are getting Ty Conti versus the Bunny at this week's Rampage.
Penelope Ford.
Did I say the Bunny?
Yes,
My bad. It's Penelope
it's
Ford.
okay.
So they are having a submission match on this week's Rampage. So they basically did a promo to build towards that. I think they are doing somewhat of a tag team feud with Ty J and Penelope and the Bunny.
Didn't that get over like 4 3 4 months ago?
The thing is that we didn't pay
They,
that much of an attention, or we weren't that excited for it.
we still aren't.
But what were we excited for? The third encounter between Hikaru Shida and Serena Deeb. I thought this was a very decent enough match, and there you go. Shida finally, you could say, won the rubber match. I guess she got the victory.
Yes, like this wasn't their best match together, in this trilogy, but and the crowd was kind of fatigued. You could see in this match they were completely tired from the opening match and also feeding into Wardlow's power bombs. But this match was affected as a result. But as in the in-ring action goes, I thought it was good in that sense. They did their job the best they could do to wake a dead crowd up. But yeah, I'm happy, super happy for Shida. She's gotten the win. She's won like the feud eventually, as for now. So let's see where that goes as well.
Nothing in terms of the highlights. They basically did a similar type of match that we they have done for the last 2 times they have came together. Like Deeb was working on the injured knee or leg of Shida, and we saw a very vicious Shida in this match. Is that fair to say?
Sorry,
Like
I'm
I
sorry.
said, we saw a more vicious side of Shida in this match.
Yes, yes. Like even in the build up to this match, where they were doing the promos for last week, and even on the this week's road too. So Shida was like set on vengeance because Serena costed her the TBS championship opportunity by injuring her knee, and then Nyla was targeting it. so that, and Shida was like out for vengeance, and then she was like, "You did that, and I'm going to ruin you." She just said that, and even when she did her entrance, she just threw the kendo stick at Serena's face, which I thought is very unlike Shida.
Yeah, zero
But
fucks given.
uh, zero fucks given indeed, and I'm happy to see. Shida is like my one of my favorite wrestlers in AEW, like be it male or female, and it's always great to see her wrestle. And I always mark out, but this was great seeing her win anyway.
And
But yeah,
Shida is,
continue.
yeah, like Shida puts in a lot of effort when she, cuts promos in English.
Yes, and her English is pretty good at that. Like knowing the obvious reasons.
And I would say that Hikaru Shida's English promos are way better than the entire Queen's Crown tournament.
I knew that was coming. So great stuff.
The thing is,
That's your weekly.
yeah, the thing is, I forgot it to mention in the world title match because of how that match was. We had to mention a lot of points, right?
Yes, but it's okay. Even the smallest jabs work, just like the vaccine.
Ah, I see what you did there. But
Yep.
quickly transitioning out of that controversial topic. There you go. Deeb, sorry, Serena. Whoa, Shida won. Shida won this match, and I think when they crown that first TBS champion, the first title defense, I think Shida gets the shot.
Yes, I feel so too. And also, knowing Shida is like the longest reigning AEW Women's Champion. I just wanted to say that she's, like, over the years that she's competed in the AEW, she's often gotten the short end of the stick. Because even, in the first few months that she was there, she wasn't being used much for a while. And then she started getting matches, but I think she was also injured at one point when like this was before or during Nyla Rose's title reign, like just before, around that, like early 2020 part. Then she gets back. She isn't used again all that much. She's like heavily featured on Dark, and then she gets a title shot. She wins the championship, but she's still not featured on Dynamite all that often. And being the women's champion at that, and also it sucked that there was a pandemic that was happening. So again, like there were no crowds either. And then she's just doing her best with the championship run, and like she's putting out great matches whenever she's given a chance. And even then it's like Britt Baker was getting featured more at that point. And then she still does well. And then eventually, finally, when the crowd comes back, she gets her appreciation. She even gets a new title belt. And then she loses the championship, and she's off TV for like 3-4 months. Then she, like makes a big screen return to the casino battle royale, and then she gets eliminated early. So she's always gotten the short end of the stick, if you notice, and it's very unlucky of her to be in that position.
But it's clear that she is one of the top women in that division.
Yes, for sure. And she's making the best out of whatever opportunity she's given. So that is also a testament to how great she is. And man, Hikaru Shida is fucking awesome. Just that's it.
And as we move on, let's talk about this special video package by Mr. Malakai Black. And the only thing I could take, the only highlight, or maybe a teaser you could say, is he was in some house, filming this vignette. He was, just spilling out this riddles or whatever you want to call it. And the way he basically is a dark father.
Yeah, that is the story. That is the gimmick that he was supposed to do in WWE, but they fucking released him in like 2 days. Morons.
So I think we had some. I think he was. What do you call it? The whole ritual thing.
Rituals.
Yeah, he's doing
I don't know
something
what
to a
else.
certain guy who was in a very hooded getup here, and he, after the whole chanting of the mantra or whatever you call it, he basically spits the mist, the black mist, into this guy's face or whatever you call it, and he said, "You're more than just a king. And does this mean that Brody King is showing up in AEW?
Yeah, it's confirmed by like news outlets. I think Fightful and Wrestling Observer newsletter confirmed that Brody King is signed with AEW. And knowing that, they're similar gimmicks and they're also PWG tag champions together, it's obvious that this was going to happen sooner or later, but it's cool. It's cool seeing Brody King and AEW, and CM Punk wanted to work with him as well, so this is even better. So it it certainly ticks all boxes for me. Excited for it. What about you?
Um, I haven't seen much of Brody King, but he's really great for his size.
Yeah, he's basically Alistair Black double XL. It's probably the best way to put it.
But the main topic is that
I'm
this.
not fat. I'm not fat shaming him, by the way. It's just how it is.
I
Like
got you,
he's a
man. I got you. I'm not throwing
yeah,
you under the bus for this. But the main
yeah.
topic is
Thank you.
the main topic is I think this is the beginning of House of Black, a faction.
Yeah. Yes. There was someone who posted a theory on Reddit saying like the seven deadly sins, and there are there are basically like it's a tale as old as time, I guess, is the way I could describe. And there are like for each moment, each part, each sin is what Malakai was trying to go after. And Cody, there was Park, and it brought out an aggressive side of them. Then he Mr. Julia Hart as well. I have a feeling Julia Hart might join House of Black. I don't want that. And there's one of the sins is sloth, and that Malachi is going to target, and you know who it is. Who is he going to target when it comes to sloth?
Uh, I don't know, man.
Orange Cassidy,
Wait,
the king of sloth style.
did you just say Orange Cassidy may join House of Black?
No, I didn't say that. I'd say once he mists, whoever he's misting is part of those seven deadly sins. And like with Cody and Park, it brought out a very darker side of them. With Julia Hart, it was one such, and then he missed it. With Julia, I said that this is going to be a thing, but when it comes to one of those sins, is called sloths, which is easily Orange Cassidy. So that is where I feel that there might be a feud of OC versus Malakai, and then we might see some character changes into OC,
But that's the
which I don't
theory.
want.
Yeah, that's the theory you read. I saw something different here, and this is regarding Brody King, the potential arrival. That he could go through a name change just like what Malakai did, and you could say that Malakai had to go through a name change because of a new character. So you could see a similar thing with Brody King, and also the name Brody.
Yeah. Oh, shit, I completely forgot about that, and it's a very shitty of me. It's very shitty of me to do that. Fuck. So basically, you're saying Malakai Black is taking people into his House of Black, brainwashing them, and changing their name. So is he basically Vince McMahon?
No, 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 no. He's Bruce Pritchard.
Yeah, that's more like it.
But do you mind a name change for Brody King, or is this?
I mean, knowing the obvious barriers, yes, but either way is fine with me.
Well, we'll have to wait and see. But what was next in this program? I think we heard from Eddie Kingston, I guess.
Yeah, so they were building up matches for Rampage. You want me to go through them?
Please do, man. Please do.
Okay, so knowing the other two matches that were announced. So the first one was an eight-man tag between Best Friends and Rocky Romero versus SuperKliq and Bobby Fish. And after that, there was another like match made official, which was Ty Conti versus Penelope Ford in a submission match. But the third match was basically Eddie Kingston was cutting a promo saying 3 so I was saying 3.0 because like 3.0 was the old name actually, if you remember
Really?
on the independent, yeah, on the independence.
Hmm.
Oh no, wait, it was 2.0, but they did a gimmick of 3.0 saying that they were changed men, but like wearing Canadian tuxedo, but they just took it off and said, nah, we are 2.0 only.
Ah,
That was a comedy spot. My bad, my bad.
interesting.
So so he was like, he's made his life hell. They always attack him, taking cheap shots, and at every opportunity, they just try to make him feel bad. And of course, now with Mox not being around, he can't tag with him, and he also like the 2.0 also attacked Ortiz. So he's going to do. He's going to like issue a challenge. It's a 10-man tag. It's Garcia and 2.0 versus two people of their choosing, which is revealed to be acclaimed later on, versus Eddie Kingston, his boys, his proteges, Santana and Ortiz, and his two best friends, that's Penta and Phoenix. So
No, no,
that's the
no, no, no,
10
no.
man tag as well.
I think his only best friend is Penta.
Yeah, sorry. So Penta and his brother Phoenix and Santana and Ortiz and Eddie Kingston versus them versus 2.0, Daniel Garcia and the Acclaimed. There are a lot of names to get out, man. Fuck.
So we got a 8 man and a 10 man in the same night.
Yes, Teddy Long is on cloud nine.
Well, Rampage is going to be a long night this week, but there you go. Let's talk about this. Nothing to talk about actually. They showed highlights of the match from Rampage, the debut match of Hook, the Crook against Fuego del
The
Sol.
Crook.
That was a really good shout out for Hook in this week's Dynamite. So looking forward to what he does next. What did you think about his debut match?
Oh, it was awesome. Like he looks like a natural in the ring. Like someone for his first match, he exceeded all expectations if there were any. And yeah, man, I'm excited to see what he can do. Like all his transitions, his what do you call it, his suplexes and his locks were like smooth as hell. And he's been training for like almost a year and a half. So yeah,
There you go, man. But shall we get to the main event?
yep. Let's do it to it.
So this is for the Dynamite Diamond Ring, and this is against MJF and Dante Martin. So both these guys were the last two, in that Dynamite Diamond Ring Battle Royal that they had last week. So those two guys were the last competitors. So they're going through a singles match now. But MJF had a promo before this, and he actually got booed the hell out of this building. And that Long Island show feels like it was 10 years ago.
Yeah, fuck. It really does.
Like a week ago, he's being cheered like a hero. This week, back to normal programming. Like, what's happening?
Yeah, it did feel like forever ago, and it was only last week.
But he's getting some great heat here. Uh, there you go, another Bully Ray reference. But he talks about CM Punk here, and he is just basically responding to what CM Punk said about him in Long Island. Said that it was very cute of him that he was, shitting on the, local football team, something
Sports
like
team,
that. And
hockey team.
he also mentioned how Punk is proclaiming that he wants a title shot. So like by getting cheap victories against not so important opponents, something like that.
That makes, yeah. He said like underwhelming, like having an undefeated streak against underwhelming opponents. That just makes you a new Ryback, which I thought was an fucking line of the night. Like the best line of the night or the best thing has to go to MJF in that case.
Yeah,
This was
MJF has
fire.
some really sick comebacks.
Yes, this is, I would say this is one of his all-time good ones.
Uh,
Because like Ryback when he became number one contender for CM Punk when he was WWE champion, he just beat he just beat jobbers, and then he became like then he went on to face for the championship, and after that, like yeah, and Punk hates Ryback, like he has caused him a lot of injuries and stuff. So yeah, it was a like if there was a low hanging fruit that MJF could pick on, this was it. Like not even Punk's UFC career, I'd say this one was.
but there you go. I don't know when they do this match.
Maybe TBS show is thing, but I want for it to stretch out longer.
We'll have to wait and see. But let's talk about this match here with Dante Martin. It was fine, I guess. But let me. Yes, another thing he mentioned. He was also talking about Dante Martin. Just appreciated him a little, put like he did compliment him for being a great athlete. But he did end up just talking shit about him and said that he's going to beat Dante Martin with a side headlock takeover again, just like he did with MJF. And I
The
think
derby.
at one point even both men were trying to beat the other guy with a headlock takeover.
Yes, like for first part, and Bryce just kept counting pinfalls. There was one spot as such. Yeah.
Yeah, like they were back to back, like pinfall attempts.
Yes, there was one spot where MJF was going for the dirty victory with his foot on the rope, and Bryce just fucking kicks it. Like Bryce gives no fucks.
Yeah, I think after Aubrey, Bryce is the best referee that they have.
Yes, I hate Rick Knox, but yeah, Bryce is my favorite.
And the other guy who was the referee in the Danielson and Hangman page match.
Wolverine.
What's his name again?
His name is Paul Turner, but there was one moment on Dark where they, like Taz and Excalibur, were just making fun of him. So they were just calling him Ball Burner.
Paul Burner. Yeah, Paul Turner.
Yeah,
Actually, he is also
Paul Turner.
a good enough referee, but the most over and unique referees are Aubrey and Bryce.
Yeah, Bryce is my guy.
Yeah, the way Bryce does the 1, 2, 3, the pinfall is just amazing.
Yeah, he got his hand stuck for a while. Like he's counting and then it got stuck and he's just doing like this. It looked like he was flipping off MJF.
But like we talked about the several pinfall attempts, that was one of my favorite spots. But the most favorite spot in this match was Dante was on the offense, so I think he hit four back to back dives on MJF from each side of the
Yeah,
ring.
yeah. There was one spot where Dante was going like he was running towards the turnbuckle and then he sticks out his neck on the top turnbuckle and then he moves to the middle rope and then he jumps on MJF. I thought that was sick as hell.
But those four back-to-back high spots or dives he did was pretty unique. Like, and the final one I think kind of was messed up. Like the shooting star press he did.
Yeah, but kudos to Excalibur for covering that up. He's like his knee hit MJF's face, so not sure who got the worst of that, but it certainly hurt.
Yeah.
So good on Excalibur for covering up.
But speaking about the knee, there was a spot earlier on this match where
Yeah,
Dante did a rolling thunder and did a 450, but he ends up hitting MJF with the knees, almost killed MJF in that moment.
yeah, it was like a very Rob Van Dam versus Triple H. He crushed Triple H's throat on the five-star frog splash during the Elimination Chamber match. So it was a bit reminiscent of that. Yes.
I was about to say that he went RVD and ended up being Perk Angle. Remember,
Yes.
I think he did a 450 knee drop on Sting.
Yes, and also like him jumping off, like doing a 450 basically, but jumping on a standing abyss from the stage.
Yeah.
So that's one of the classic perk angle spots.
Yeah, Perk angle hit different back then.
Yes, he was on a beam and on a helicopter.
But coming back to this match, like at the final parts, I don't know what is happening in the ring, but Ricky Starks shows up, causes some distraction, and as soon as this happens, MJF, I think he got a roll up pin, and there you go, that was it. Oh, no, 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 I think he
No,
locked
no,
in the
no.
armbar, I guess, the salt of the earth.
Yeah, he did the salt of the earth, and it was a bit tame of a finish, if you ask me, because Dante was building to that particular this thing where he was trying to win the match. He hit the nosedive, which is a very meh name. And while he was pinning MJF, and then Ricky puts his feet on the rope. And then Dante is just standing there, and MJF just locks in the salt of the earth as it is it almost felt like a clean loss. And then Dante taps out. So I thought the finish was like, I get what they were trying, but the execution was a bit weird, if you ask me.
There you go, MJF for the third straight year owns the Dynamite Diamond Ring. I think they got a new one this year. So
Yeah.
FTR, joined MJF in this, post-match celebration. They had him in the shoulders, celebrating this victory. But the lights go out. The lights go out, Ridwan. Is it Wyndham?
Yes.
No. Is it Briscoes? No. It's
No.
Sting. It's Sting and Darby Allen. So they attack FTR. MJF, escapes, and eventually MJF would return. So we had a 2-on-3 beatdown. So crowd was chanting for CM Punk, and we did hear like Mussolini and Kennedy, cult of personality. CM Punk shows up with a baseball bat and chases out the heels, and he then later on got on the mic, and basically we are getting a six-man on next week's Dynamite with Sting, Punk, and Darby Allen facing FTR and MJF. Should be good. And
Yes.
there you go, man.
Was that the match Tony Khan wanted to announce or what? Because we were literally hanging. It was basically the David Otanga and Rikishi moment where they were like, "Yeah, Tony Khan's going to announce a big match for Holiday Bash," but eventually it never ends up happening. Was this match or
I didn't have I didn't actually care about the announcement when he said it was a match and not a big signing.
it's going to be a earth-shattering one? The commentators were hyping the fuck out of it. So probably it's this match that they were alluding to.
Hey, listen, did you have the
Yeah.
problem with the lights out and Sting and Darby showing up? Because I
No.
stopped everything I was doing and was saying who's going to show.
No. I was like, I avoided the spoilers for this show.
Me too.
Okay. Yeah, and that I usually like check the spoilers and then I watch it in the evening. But for this one, like since it was winter is coming, I tried not to go for any spoilers. But uh I didn't want Wyndham to show up. Simple. I was like 50-50 about Briscoes, but having Sting and Darby show up was like a big fu to fantasy bookers, and I reveled in that because of what I just said, and I was happy it was Sting and Darby and not the other two.
By the way, did you check the thing that happened at final battle with the Briscoes and FTR?
Yes, about that, as in like, is that still a thing now? Because see, they've said that all talents are being released from Ring of Honor, so they're just being a super indie now. So this is still going to continue because they even debuted a stable over there with EC3, Adam Scher, formerly known as Braun Strowman, and now Killer Cross has also joined the stable, and I think Wesley Blake is there. So Ring of Honor, in a way, is continuing at the same time. Like no one's going to be fully signed with the promotion, or what's it going to be?
We have long-term plans. That's why I can say regarding Ring of Honor.
Yeah, there seems to be something in place. Even with FTR in the Briscoes, I feel there's going to be something.
And one thing is for sure, we are getting Briscoes versus FTR, and that should be a really good match. But more, it can't happen in Ring of Honor, right?
It has to happen on AEW because getting a bigger attention to them.
And who knows? It could be for the Ring of Honor World Championship. Sorry, World Tag Team Championship.
Yep. Even the AAA could be added to that. Who knows?
Wait, where did
Winner
the
take
AAA
all.
come from? Yeah, I forgot. FTR are AAA champions.
Yep.
There you go, man. Like I said, wrestling is pretty wild, and 2022 is going to be a hell. Like this, you said that 2021 was the best, year for wrestling in a while, but 2022 is going to top that.
Can't wait for it. Can't wait for 2022 in wrestling.
But before we leave, Ridwan, where can these guys find you?
So you can find me on Twitter and Instagram at @Rin_Rahman. And if you're watching this in video form, you can see it somewhere over here in any of the bottom corners.
And you can find Slamhub Wrestling on Twitter at SlamhubW, Instagram at Slamhub Wrestling. You can catch this review on Anchor and Spotify as well. This was the AEW Dynamite review. Winter is coming edition. And we'll see you guys next time.
Adios.